That should be working now. I don't. It'll kick in, won't it? It'll be delayed. Yeah, it's alright. Is it working now? I'm trying to work on the sound. Hopefully, it's working now. Right. So is this actually up and running then? God, it's so annoying trying to get this. Trying to understand this thing, getting it working. Screen captures on that. Happy with that. Yeah, sweet. Awesome. Let me just quickly go and just have a quick share on a bit of social media. Hello, Don. How are you doing? I actually got it to work on the right stream this time, so that's interesting. Let me share that. Copy that link. Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing? You need me to be a little louder? Okay. Let's see how I can do. We go on to my settings. Audio input. Headset microphone. Apparently that's as high as it can go. So, so yeah, how is everyone doing? I hope you're all okay. Today we're going to do a little bit of a look through sort of like what I've got a super major for Leeds in about 2 weeks, not the weekend coming, weekend after. So first ever super major we'll be going to for 10th, and we're going to see basically how we're going to take a look at the meta, sort of what we can expect. And yeah, we'll go from there. And also any questions, anything like that. And we just chat shit about Death Guard for about an hour or so. So I'm just gonna quickly post this. Discuss news, doing it live. Join and hang out. Yeah. Discussing upcoming. I probably should do all this prior, but you know. Majors. I mean, super major. Hope that works. That's my worry, Don, because our big event for September in England is actually London. Now it is the end of September, and I'm really hoping we get the balance patch early September so we can actually get the balance update for London. Because obviously, biggest event in the UK, and I want to try and have the strongest army possible for it in terms of Death Guard. So it'd be really nice to actually have a balance update. I mean, we got the FAQ coming later this week or next week. I don't think that's actually going to address anything sort of like balancing wise. Obviously, I think that's more aimed at just clarifying FAQs and whatnot. But we'll sort of see how it goes. And you know, maybe we'll get something clarified. Maybe we'll get the wording on the Terminator Sorcerer Lord cleaned up a little bit. But I'm not expecting anything substantial to help us out really. It's that September one that we're sort of looking forward to. But we'll see where it goes. So we'll have a quick look at the competitive innovations in 10th. Obviously, this is talking about some of the bigger events that took place last week. Obviously, we'll get a fresh one coming this week for Meta Monday and whatnot to look at. But I imagine a lot of people have sort of looked at this already, whoever's in the competitive mindset and whatnot. But it's always good to just sort of have a finger on the pulse of what we're going to expect to see. Obviously, Eldar, GSC, they're kind of like, you know, your staples. Imperial Knights. But my biggest not concern is this. So for those who don't know, the biggest tournament event held so far, 374 players, had just gone on. US Open Tacoma, so official GW ran event. I know people have different opinions on them, especially the tables and whatnot for towering. We'll see. But at the end of the day, this was the result we had. We had a Custodes versus Custodes final. Now, people that know Custodes, they are strong. There's not make any denial about that. I think they've been sort of overshadowed by Eldar GSC, and in that space they've sort of snuck under the radar a bit. But personally, I think Custodes are actually a giant problem. Not just for Death Guard. I think they cause a problem in the game at the moment. They basically stonewall any melee army just out because they have so much defensives in melee. They're super tough to kill. They have incredible melee profiles themselves, and they have literally multiple sources of fight first. So they have an on-demand fight first for CP. They have Trajan fight first, and as we know in the 10th edition, fight first is a lot more powerful because you actually go before your opponent even if you're charged. So this list here that we're looking at now, Steve Trumbull, the fella who won it, um, it's not it's not a it's not a brain teaser of a list, and it's his own words. He basically took 3 giant blocks of 10-man custodian guards, character in each that give them all free stratagems. So fight first is now free. It wouldn't be such a bad issue if that was 2 CP, but now it's also 2 CP plus you can then do it again for free. So you can have multiple units doing it, plus Trajan's one is free because it's an ability. So obviously that's an issue, and you can kind of start to see why melee gets stonewalled by Custodes so hard. Bear in mind, when you get into melee, you're looking at -1 to be hit from the Katars, -1 damage, all sorts of stuff to just sort of negate you, and then basically swing back, wipe you out. Not exactly ideal. Armies like World Eaters and stuff, they can, they don't have the durability. I mean, neither do we particularly, but the problem is, you charge him with some 8-bound, great. Opponent pots fight first for free, and they wipe out like most of your attacking unit, if not all, because there's something like 50 attacks. I think the 5 attacks each custodians. Yeah, Custodes are boring in my opinion. I think Custodes are not a fun army to face. I think it's kind of and like I said, in Trimble's own words, this is an army that proceeds to the middle of the board. So he said he deployed on the line every game. He just walked it in the open, straight into the middle, stood on the middle objectives, and stood there and was like, yeah, you kill me. Go on, try. And he won. And he went 8-0 with that. Now, don't get me wrong, Steve Trimble's a good player. Very good player. Not overly impressed by that playstyle, but I mean, he found someone that works, and he did it. So, fair play to the guy, but the problem with this happening, in my opinion, is whenever certain armies are good, like Genestealer Cult at the moment are very good. Problem is, not many people actually own Genestealer Cults and don't have they still require a little bit of brain power to work, and they are broken, don't get me wrong, they're pretty busted. But, you have to turn on this a little bit. Custodes, especially from the guy's own mouth, saying he didn't even have to use his brain, anyone can kind of play that. And also, Custodes, when they're good, are a very popular army because, well, it's not hard to get Custodes on the table. Same reason Knights. Knights, when they're good, become a very popular army because we have plenty of people that can sort of rotate to Knights. And a lot of people own Knights, and a lot of people own Custodes because it's so cheap to buy into. This particular list archetype is worrying because people are going to see this, wins the biggest event of 10th edition so far, and it's quite easy to put together. It is literally, what is it, 3 characters, 30 guys. These are a bit harder to get hold of. This is action squads, but I'm sure they'll find something else to replace these with. And an assassin. That's it. That is, if I wanted to, bear in mind the event is, in a week? 2 weeks, sorry. So I'd have this weekend come in, and then the event's the one after. I could go out, if I had the money, I could go out, buy this list, and get it painted and ready for that event. I guarantee it. Spray them gold, bit of red on the plumes, bit of silver on the weapons, wash it, done, base it. 33 models. The hardest bit would be the 10 guardsmen, the 10 exaction squads. And we've seen this before in 9th edition when Custodes also got super powerful, super strong. They were everywhere. Like, literally, Custodes took over the game. So my concern from seeing this happen is other people see this happen and now go from not taking Custodes to now being like, okay, Custodes are powerful, they don't look that hard to play, and, I've got a good chance of taking the event by taking this. But they don't get like I said, I'm not being insulting to the guy who won it, Steve Trimble, well played, but his own words literally were, and he was happy to admit, this is not a big brain, skillful army. So, yeah. It's slightly concerning. UK meta is full of GSC that runs circles around Custodes. True. We do have a lot of GSC players over here, but yeah, it is boring. This list is boring. The issue I think is that we're in a skew list meta. Yeah, there's definitely a thing where, and I'm sort of like not a huge fan of the list construction at the moment. One, I don't like how they've basically snuck in power level. That's a topic for another day. I don't like free war gear, etc. like that. But my biggest issue is at the moment, because we have lost detachment restrictions or compulsory troops, etc., the game has sort of devolved into this find the most efficient unit in your book, spam it. Just spam it as much as you can. CSM, Obliterators, Forge Fiends, spam it. Custodes, Shield Guard, spam it. Eldar was Wraith Knights, spam it. Now it's like, and it was like Wraith Knights, Fire Prisms, spam it, spam it, spam it. Desolation Marines, spam it. Even in my own list, like, don't get me wrong, like, free Plague Burst Crawls, it's the only thing that's efficient, spam it. Um, I don't really think list creation is particularly fun at the moment, especially since you can't even make like little changes like, 4-man Death Shroud. I'd really like a 4-man Death Shroud, which has a little bit more oomph, but no, it's 3 or 6, and 6 is too much, 3 is too little sometimes. It's like, ah, come on, man. Um, so, yeah, I do agree with what you're saying, that I do think we're in a bit of a, there's an issue where, and skewing at the moment is even stronger because of the toughness changes, like, bringing Knights was like mass T7, T8, it was still manageable with like, Death Shroud being strength 8, -1 toughness when they're near, well, they were strength 7, but -1 toughness when you're nearby, meant you could wound War Dogs on like 3s, rerolling 1s, or Big Knights on 4s, rerolling 1s, you could always vets it, etc. Whereas now they're all like T12, T10, and you just get run over, like your entire army just now wounds on 5s. And there's some matchups where you just get run over because you just got stat checked. And I kind of hate it because there's no skill in just stat checking someone. I guess you still have to play it, don't get me wrong, but some games currently I do genuinely feel like I just won and resolved before any game is actually been played. You just check the list and you go, yeah, I'm fucked. But I'm trying not to be negative. I don't think that's an issue specifically with Death Guard. I mean, Death Guard do have issues, anti-tank, etc. But I think that's more of an issue of the sort of like the overall state of the game at the moment. There's a lot of crazy shit at the moment though. Like it's wild. It truly is Wild West. It bothered me a lot. It still bothers me. Obviously, balance issues do bother me, but like at this point, you just gotta ride the wave. Hopefully, we get some good changes. Hopefully, it makes us feel a bit more like Death Guard, a bit more competitive and whatnot. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is the thing that's now on my mind for obviously Leeds Super Major in 2 weeks. Not sure how I feel about Custodes. I actually think we don't struggle as much as some armies. Being stonewalled is a bit grim, I won't lie. Fight first is not a pleasant thing. We do have some ways to sort of work around it. Triple PBC can obviously force free leadership tests on units. If they failed a single one, they then can't activate fight first, so that's quite nice. That's made me consider maybe even bringing the bell guy, so it's -2 to leadership, so they need to roll an 8 or higher to pass, and you've got 3 chances at that. So that's quite nice to turn off fights first. The -1 to hit and -1 damage doesn't matter. UKTC have fully 100% ruled Mortarion ignores damage reduction and AP reduction. So I had to play more aggressive with Mortarion in this matchup. Obviously, to a certain degree, don't want to get him charged and whatnot, but he needs to be there for the turn that we go in to make sure that all our damage is at max, when they're not getting any minuses to hit from their Katars, and we're going to slam them as hard as we can. Our Death Guard good into this list with the kind of anti-infantry? Yes and no. Anti-infantry is really good for forcing wounds. The problem is a lot of our anti-infantry flamers are like AP1 max. Now, there is a combination you can do, whereas if you manage to get them within contagion range of an infected objective marker, you pop Ferric Blight, and because anti is always counted as a 6 to wound, your flame is actually going to get +2 AP on every successful anti-wound. So your Plague Spitters are AP3, and your Death Shroud Gauntlets are AP2, which then forces them to invulns, and that can kill quite a couple. But again, because it's only 1 damage each, and depending on how many shields they've got, you might pick up 1 or 2, like 2 or 3 Custodians maybe if you're lucky. Two, I mean, don't worry, I'm picking up 2 Custodians, still really solid, but I think this kind of matchup is one where we do have to sort of get stuck in. So, like, let's say, for example, we were playing against this list here. So, we're looking at this list, obviously 3 giant blobs, so they need something to hold the home objective. Now, if he puts any of these exaction squads on his home objective, you 100% know where we're shooting those Plague Burst Crawls at first. Because I know these are the threat, but let's say we kill these with Plague Burst Crawlers, and we get to a point where he needs to spend one of these blocks to hold home, you've just basically neutered 450 points from his army. So that's a fairly solid place to be in. Now, Smart Custody player will instead obviously use the Caladius Assassin to hold his home field because obviously Lone Operator is broken. I stand by that. Lone Operator is really ridiculous. So, sorry. So that's why we're going to be strat reserving Typhus. Typhus could also potentially in this matchup be deep struck on his own because the thing is, Typhus is good with the Poxwalkers when he can get to a position where he can start regenerating troops. Now, in this kind of matchup, especially with the 4-up versus Mortal Wounds, it's very unlikely his spell's going to be regenerating any Poxwalkers. The only way you're going to get it is if you manage to run into something like, Exaction Squads, and they're going to get picked up the second you look at them. So at this point, it might be actually worth considering just deep striking him on his own to basically be a counter assassin, so he can drop in. It's very hard for them to screen out, 18 inches from Typhus onto that assassin. He can drop in. There's a good chance to just finish his 4 wounds, so it's a decent chance, he could just pick her up on the drop. And obviously, Typhus' ability does get around Lone Operator, so do remember that. It's going to be really nice if they try and do that. But I think the rough game plan for this one would be to basically pick up any of the scoring units as soon as possible, pick up anything that's holding his home field, make him force back a unit, and then with the 2 that are midfield, I think you have to basically gang up on 1. I have considered making changes to the list. It's the same list I'm thinking of taking, by the way. Thinking of dropping down it's the Rhino of the Plague Marines. It's really good for scoring. It's 280 points. It's just like, it's grim because you could get Predator Destructor in there. Then you've got an AP2 flat 3 damage auto cannon that's going to really start hurting those Custodes. This is sort of why I haven't submitted a list yet. I'll put one up. I am waiting for tomorrow's Meta Monday so we can see more results. And if Custodes player base has shot through the roof, then we might consider, dropping the Plague Marines out of the Rhino, dropping the Rhino, putting in a Predator, maybe putting in a Bloat Drone or something still speedy fast that can sort of still do objectives, just so we have a bit more firepower to deal with armies like this if we think they are going to become a lot more popular, which I do think currently will be the case. We'll see. But basically the idea is, like I said, force units have to hold home, try and engage 1 unit with Mortarion, so you're ignoring all the negatives. Mortarion is actually still quite hard for them to kill, even with the rerolls. He's still a chunky boy. You can -1 damage, obviously ourselves, to negate his. They have clarified Trajan does not ignore damage reduction for his unit, so bonus. Happy with that. And, I think you basically have to try and gang up on 1 unit and just nuke it. So you got obviously the sorcerer can for 1 turn become damage flat 3. So use all your little shots, try and get the Presidium shield out of the way, and then just unleash the sorcerer. Yeah, you never know. You might get a real big roll and pick up like 4 or 5 custodians. You never know. But it's going to be a hard game for sure. But I think weirdly that the free 10-man bricks not as bad for us as it is for some other armies in the game. But we'll have to see. Something in chat. We are not a melee army right now. We're definitely a close range shooting army with a melee and just a knockout punch. Problem is we're super wimpy into vehicles with high saves. Yeah, I agree. Going against anything that's 2-up, T10 plus, not great. I'm more scared of if Custodes would bring something like Caladius Grav Tank. 2-up save is just not fun. It's just grim. Like Knight Tyrants, the real big knights, they're also not great. We got entropy cannons. We've got some multi-mels and haulers, but I've not been having great luck with them. And our melee caps out at like strength 8. It's not brill. Lethal hits helps, don't get me wrong. But you're definitely right. I do think we are better at basically killing close with the shooting, and then the melee is sort of like the follow-up finisher. It's definitely not the way it used to be where the melee is like, our Plague Marines are trading like for knights. Like 5 Plague Marines can chunk a knight for like half its HP, or 10 man up to Plague Marines just pick up a knight. We're not there anymore. Maybe you could if you put all the biologists and stuff into it, but then that's no longer a 10-man Plague Marine unit. That's a 400-point unit, which kills a knight then trades. Not great. Wonder why Imperium armies get access to cheap list fillers with Chaos. Chaos Spawn should not be 75 points, please, or at least let me take 1 on its own. Again, it's my problem with this power level system. When Chaos Spawn are actually a really good unit, maybe a bit overcosted at 75, but they're actually really solid. And it's so annoying, like, to not be able to fit them in my list because they're so expensive. Like, the amount of times I'll make a list and it's like 30 points left. I would pay 30 points for one spawn happily to put it in, just like, you go in reserves, you do mission play, whatever. But it's like, nah, you're not allowed that. You chaos player, you're not allowed that. Oh, would you like an exaction squad, Mr. Imperium? It's a bit frustrating, so I do understand a bit of an annoyance there. Just a quick one for you guys in chat. Has anyone got any events coming up? Not even if you're taking death cards. Anyone got anything sort of coming up? Looking forward to? Let us know. But obviously, be happy to hear like your experiences or anything like that. Feel free to share. It's basically a hangout and chat stream. It's not really a, you know, here's my 5-0 result or here's my my 0-2 result or whatever it is. It's just I'm here to chat. Upcoming leads. See how you guys are doing. Yeah, just try and keep the mood sort of like light on death guard at the moment. I know everyone's in a bit of a downy ditch, and I understand it. It's not the most brilliant, but hey, we know we've been through worse. We keep it going. so so Custodes, and obviously Custodes coming in second also reinforces that. Eldar obviously are still not the thing we want to see. It's still grim. I won't lie. Eldar are still very, very efficient. The only thing that's we got going for us here is we might see less Wraith Knights into a one-man build of Wraith Knights. Still horrendous. We still really don't want to be dealing with it, but I'll take one Wraith Knight over two Wraith Knights. Like, it's the only thing you can really say. The thing is, Eldar infantry all really hate, really, really hate, what do you call it? Plague Burst Crawlers. Did I just see a horn? It's 80 points. You fucking... Okay. Fair. I didn't even know that was 80 points, but okay. But like anything like this, I don't think warp spiders have blown up. I don't think they do. But anything like this, so spectres obviously these can teleport in and whatnot. Very annoying, very annoying. But we have ways to stop that with like cultist scouting and whatnot. It's not too bad. Like guiding defenders, we just pick them up. I think picking up most of this is of the infantry is not an issue. Obviously our flamers are really good. This is going to be a bit of a concern. The Wraith Guard combo. I don't know what I'd rather face, Wraith Guard or a Wraith Knight. These things resurrect, which is obviously not great. The one thing we have against Wraith Guard, though, is the fact that all of our sort of melee units, so like I had two Death Shroud and whatnot, they do have characters in them. Spirit Seer is actually very squishy, very weak, and we need to remember that we have a heroic challenge, so we can obviously get precision in melee with them. If they mess up, obviously positioning does still matter. But say we can get a precision on them, always try and get rid of that Spirit Seer. If you get rid of the Spirit Seer, the entire squad's going to lose one from its ballistic skill, weapon skill. They're also going to be unable to resurrect from then on. So do remember that. Mortarian's obviously still going to help us out to ignore their -1. I think they're -1 damage, I'm pretty sure. Or -1 to wound, it's one of them. There is ways to deal with it. Obviously, it's not great because as soon as you finish, doing anything, Wraithguard just get to shoot you because reasons. But it's a tough one. Eldar is still probably the matchup I do fear the most. That and Gene still cult. I am fully not expecting to go 5-0 in this one. Like, okay, we did it at GT, but this is big boys now. But we're just gonna do best we can. Like I said, if I get I'm just setting my goals at the moment. 2 wins. 2 wins is above the current average win rate for Death Guard, so 2 wins and Bob's your uncle. We're happy with that. So demons. Monster Mash Demons is a big concern, again, because of what we said before about the high toughness. It's not as bad because it's usually 4+ invulnerables, which we can just deal with on weight of dice. I've killed Knights with Plague vs. Crawls with lethal hits and wounded on 5s. So it's not as bad. Be'lakor obviously is a big problem in that because of his stupid aura of 18 inches. That would be an interesting one. I haven't actually played versus Chaos Demon, so I don't have too much to say on it. I hopefully won't get into one, but we'll see. So yeah, more double Eldar. Saw that one coming. Tyranids are not actually played versus. I think if they go giant monster spam, that's going to be an issue. Again, same issue we have. We're just struggling to deal with those high saves. But if they bring stuff like this, Zotes, that's where your mortars are going. Mortar all the Zotes to death. If they've got not an execute, a Biovore though, get rid of them. Because those little buggers, the Spore Mines, because GW have the foresight to not see this coming, they can have the spore mines do actions. So they can shoot a spore mine into a quarter and it score a secondary. Real cool and balanced that. So get rid of them first, just so that they have to actually play the game like normal and they can't just cheat. But target priority. Them, get rid of Biovores, then try and get rid of stuff like Zote's stuff. Anything that's 2-up save, I wouldn't bother putting the Plague Burst Crawlers into unless you have direct line of sight and you can get them to a 3-up save, or you can ignore cover from the Lord of Virulence. It's a bit scary though, I won't lie. Monster Mash is scary. It is somewhat worrying, especially since they can get Feel No Pain on demand for stratagems. Yeah, scary. Imperial Knights, again, it's a stat check. Let's say we're into this one here. What have we got? 2 Lancers, that is somewhat worrying. That is not nice. I need to see how popular Lancers are going to be, Cerastus ones. Because obviously they're definitely a unit in the moment, giving advance and charge and whatnot. It's scary. Again, is it mega scary? No, because we do still have Morty. We just have to screen him. He's still not going to one-shot a knight, but he can still definitely hurt one. Obviously, they have a 4-up in combat, though, which is a bit of an issue. So, I actually think I fear this more than the actual shooting knights. As for an answer to it, hard to say. There's only 3 Armigers and an Assassin. It's just a lot of pressure. I think if you manage to drop a single answer, then you might be in a fairly decent position. Like these, Armigers aren't that great. They're okay, but it's melter. They have melter syndrome. They're subject to whiffing. I really think this matchup comes down to one. You will need to go first, because having the first turn advantage in this game and just being able to chunk them before they even get in is really nice. And I think you just have to pick one guy and just unleash everything at it. Drop one as fast as you can, and then after that, it's a lot of pressure off you as soon as one of these goes down. 2 at the same time is obviously going to be rough. I think you need to really think about where you're deploying. Maybe just try and get them to split the knights somehow. It's either that or you all just stick together. Rhinos for move blocking, stuff like that. Empty Rhinos going to be really great in this matchup. It's a tough one though. That is a tough one. Again, I'm going to say this for every matchup. Every matchup with Death Guard's tough at the moment. The Lancer's not advanced in charge. What am I thinking of? Let's have a look. 40k downloads. I know the Chaos ones let them advance and shoot. I don't know much. Like I said, I don't really know much Cerastus stuff. Let's have a look. Lancer. Yeah, there you go, mate. Can declare a charge in a turn which it advanced. There, and they get a free tank shot. Great. So that's basically a free strength 20. So that's free 6 mortal wounds on the charge. That's grim. That is actually turbo grim. 25 wounds as well. Oh man. It's not pleasant. That's a nasty list. No like that. Nice, everybody. Orcs, I don't mind too much. Orcs at the moment are playing like it says a truck spam. It's a lot more of a go wide, play mission. Sort of the same idea we're doing. We're having to, you'll notice a lot of the armies that aren't doing great at the moment are basically having to resort to playing mission rather than actually trying to kill so much. So you'll be playing the mission as well. We have really good overwatch into armies like this. Obviously lots of trucks, but Plague Burst Crawlers can actually hurt trucks, so that's nice to know. Somebody grab me, dog's got something. There we go. Silly doggo. So yeah, I think this would come down to basically, can you outscore them? They're not going to be really focusing. They might put some pressure on you to keep you busy, but Mortari and the Plague Burst Crawlers I don't feel massively threatened with. That's gonna really come down to sort of playing the mission better than them, and outplaying them and trying to abuse our anti-infantry as much as possible. So popping trucks with the Plague Burst Crawlers, flaming the stuff that's inside, setting up good overwatches and whatnot, and see where it goes from there. Yeah, I saw the 4+ invulnerable on the Lancer. Yay, and melee as well. Fun. Do you think multiple small units of Terminators has play, considering that for some armies they'd be annoying to pick up? I'm desperately trying to make Blight Lords work. Yeah, I think, at the moment, the sort of go-to for any army that's not doing fantastic is MSU playstyle. So anything that just brings lots of multiple points and just focuses purely on mission. That being said, like, is there more efficient units than Blight Lords? Yeah, but I think the problem with Blight Lords is the role we want to use them for and the role that we have in our heads wanting to use them for just doesn't translate. It just doesn't. We see we've always like lived with our Death Shroud. Okay, what are you doing? Our Death Shroud being like our hammer Terminators and our Blight Lords being our anvil. At the moment, I just don't. I don't feel that anvil. They just drop. It's not great. All right, Kellen in the chat. Uh, so yeah, to use Blight Lords the best. You can just MSU them. You know they are quite cheap for what they are, relatively cheap. Um, and you're basically just using them to play mission. Try and maybe get a cheeky contagion because it might take them 2 turns to clear them. I don't think you can go like 10-man bricks though, especially with dev wounds at the moment in the game. It's just toughness 6 just doesn't do anything. Sadly, yeah, it's not great. Sorry, mate. Um, Pray for September, maybe. If we get any form of -1 damage or feel no pain on our units, like a lot of stuff changes, and a lot of my opinions on units does change massively. Like Blight Lords then become ridiculously good just because of points to durability. If it's just going to be a pain in the ass, and then please let the bloody Virion go in Terminate units. It would make so much difference. Like it would be nuts. It's so frustrating. Putting them in a Land Raider. The problem is when Terminators start going Land Raiders, the points start going up rapidly. And it's not bad. Land Raiders aren't bad. Land Raiders are good actually. I think they're actually pretty good. But the issue is when you start putting like units like that in Land Raiders, the Land Raider has like one purpose. It drops them off. It doesn't really achieve much though. Like Land Raider's assault ramp is the rule that it brings. Like that's kind of the reason you want a Land Raider. But the problem is like even with assault ramp and a Blight Lord Terminator charge, Blight Lords just don't hurt. Like they just don't. It's not just a Blight Lord problem. There's a huge problem with melee at the moment. It's like the melee profiles just got completely forgotten about. In 10th, a lot of them are underwhelming, underrated. Oh, Kirby, get out of under my desk. Give me a second, guys. Kirby, oi, no, come out. Come here, you. Come here, little bugger. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing, silly boy? Yeah, he's messing. So yeah, you can put him in a Land Raider, you can deliver him. Doesn't really tend to do much though. Land Raiders at the moment probably best being seen used by Don at the moment, who's been playing with triple Land Raider, but he's putting Plague Marines in them and solo characters, and basically just using them. Hello. Yes, the stream can see you. Yeah, I know. So with that, he's basically just using them again pure for mission plays. I mean, I imagine he uses them to charge stuff every so often, but I don't think that's the primary use. I think the primary use of them is to just deliver 5-mans where they need to be. You can't get up anymore. You're not coming up. 1 second, guys. One down, you. Oh, yeah. One down. Good boy. Good boy. Surprise dog. Sorry about that. So yeah, I think that's the issue sort of with Land Raiders, but I don't think Land Raiders are bad. I just think dropping off just one unit of a Land Raider and a unit that doesn't particularly even hit that hard and then doesn't particularly survive that good. I don't know. It's just we'll see. Is 500 points max for Demon? I don't think there is a cap on points for allies. I'm not. I don't use allies, so if someone asks me the allies rules, I'm just like, yeah, doggo. So, what is the actual? Someone in the chat, please tell me what the rules for actual allies are, because I don't look at them. I'm just like, nope. I play pure. I don't think there is a cap though, because I've seen lists where like it's a Death Guard list, but they've got like a Titan, some Knights and Demons. It's like 200 points of Death Guard and 1,800 of everything else. But maybe that's because of something else. I'm not too sure. The change I'm hoping for is +1 wound to Marines and Termites. Yeah, it would be interesting to see that. 4 wound Terminators. The only issue is 4 wound terminators mean jack shit to 2 damage weapons. It's still 2 wounds to kill something, so you basically gained no you basically gained no durability on that. Against damage 1, damage 3 is a big jump. It's quite nice. But against damage 2, which is sort of like the very common, especially in melee, which again melee isn't great at the moment anyway. But a lot of damage 2, 3 wounds wouldn't make much difference on the Plague Marines. On the Plague Marines it would. Sorry, Plague Marines it would. Terminator is going to 4 wounds from 3, not too much. But it might help. I do think that would need more than just that. I don't think that would fix us entirely. Um, I'd, I mean, like obviously Dream World, I'd love to see Feel No Pain. I just find Feel No Pain fun. When you roll it and you roll it at fives and you get to see the soul in the opponent's eyes just die, no greater feeling. Literally no greater feeling than just watching their 10 damage turn to 2 damage and just watching the hope and their energy just drain. And you're just there like, yeah, but the current moment that's happening to me from the other armies, and I get why it feels bad. So an entire army with that ability, especially on some like playbus crawls and stuff, would be very good. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't complain. I'd be very happy, but I don't know if I can see that happening. That would be quite a big change. But they have stated that they're not happy just with the results, but also the player experience with the army. So maybe it's not just going to be a hey, we'll make you guys cheaper. I would hate that. I don't want to go back to Horde Marines and Horde Death Guard because like that wasn't fun. Personally, I didn't enjoy that. It was kind of funny, but it didn't feel right. Like he's like, here's my Horde army of Plague Marines. Like, it's not really meant to be that way though, is it? Double Great Unclean Ones, give it a whirl. No, I am not an ally. Would be funny though. I do love the Grey Unclean One model. I used to actually play demons before Death Guard got it's like the solo army. I do love the Grey Unclean One model. But as we found out just now, apparently it's 25%, so that dream couldn't even happen even if we wanted it to. Big sad. What are you doing, you little monkey? Don't know. What are you chewing? He's chewing my bag. Fantastic. I don't know why he's been not. Am I going to put you in bed for a minute? Puppy being rebellious tonight. Right, carrying on. Yeah, CSM, is this going to be the Million Fortunes? Okay, Chaos Predators, can deal with that. Triple Forge Fiend. No Blitz. Okay. Interesting. Triple Forge Fiend, Triple Blitz is becoming like a thing. Again, I think it's a pretty lame list, a pretty boring list. But it is unfortunately a thing. It's mass dev wounds, mass out of line of sight, flat 6 damage obliterators, because, again, for some reason they needed indirect, I guess. And again, this is an issue with us just not giving out detachment slots. You can just take 6 heavy supports and laugh. You find the most best powerful unit, spam it. Again, how do we sort of deal with that? Forge Fiends we can mortar. Like, that's probably your mortar target. It's got a 3-up, not a 2-up. Much better to mortar them than it is the obliterators. Obliterators, you're looking at putting your cultists on the board and basically using the scout move to sort of push out as much as possible and deny whilst dodging Forge Fiend fire and deny the deep strikes. Once they have to come onto the board, then you want to bring in your Terminators afterwards, sort of like counter punch it. But it's scary while they're sat on that ability to indirect. It's very hard to sort of stop the Alpha Strike. It's definitely a match that you want to go first, so you get 2 turns of movement to push out. If they go first, much harder. Like you're gonna have to play your scouts and your cultists much more aggressively, but then that opens them up to Forge Fiend fire, which isn't great. Sorry, Klaus. Yeah, any tips against Custodes? So we just did cover Custodes, but basically Mortarion, especially in UKTC, has been clarified that he does ignore -1 damage, -1 to hit, etc. So playing Mortarion a bit more aggressively in those matchups, but you don't want him to get charged. Plague Burst Mortars can potentially cause Battle Shock fails on the Custodian Guard. They're only leadership 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will still fail, and that would then deny them their fight first stratagems and their free strats, etc., which is quite nice. Would allow us to sort of get a nice alpha strike on them if we can get in a charge. Gotta be careful of the heroic intervention though that they can perform. It's a tough match. If they have any chaff units to hold home field, use your Plague Burst Mortars to get rid of those first. Anything that can sort of play actions for them. If they're doing the current 30-man build, in doing so you might be able to force a 10-man to hold home, in which case, as I said, that's about a quarter of an army just neutered because they've just got to sit home and hold it. That's a win. If they go more of an MSU build, it's a bit trickier, but we sort of have to play a bit of a cagey game, mortar away stuff that we can. Obviously, we can't mortar actual Custodes units. It's a tough one. It's very tough. I mean, like every matchup at the moment is tough for Death Guard. Um, but we have stuff like maybe more Predators you can run. Predator with a flat 3 damage cannon's very nice. Stick it now Mortarion, they can't -1 damage it. Every shot's picking up a shield guard. Stuff like that. I need more play against it as well myself, so it'd be kind of interesting to see if they do spike in popularity. What do you think about using a Demon Prince instead of Mortarion? I wouldn't even compare him. Demon Prince I think is overcosted. 6-up Feel No Pain was bad when it was on a Plague Surgeon. I don't think it's particularly great on a Demon Prince. It's decent, it's nice to have, but the problem is Mortarion offers something that not only isn't sort of like anywhere else in our army, it's not really common across the game. Like ignore all modifiers in an aura for every unit, including damage modifiers, is something that we basically, it's like one of the few things we have that is truly unique to us. And in doing so, it can really like mess up people. People sat on 2 in infantry going, yeah, but I have -1 damage on them, so really I'm really effective against 2 damage weapons. And you come along with Mortarion and you go, ha, no, you're not. Boom, gone. It's what makes us trade better into Desolation Marines, stuff like that. I wouldn't compare them. They're two very different units. I don't think the Emperor is particularly bad, but you don't bring him for his 6-up, or it's not bad to have. You're not going to complain about having it, but yeah, both do cost a lot. I don't see you bringing both. Like I said, I don't bring the Imprinces. I think they're just not worth the points in what they bring. The combat's not even worth it. The strength is like 8. I don't know why. Like I don't know why they upped its toughness to 11, but its strength is still 8. Like 2 Demon Princes against each other is just a slapfest. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And this is going back to what I said about them just seemingly forgotten. Come like, oh yeah, it's got to be strength 12, it's got to be strength 10. And melee, we're just like, oh, Demon Prince. Strength 8 in ninth. Alright, every vehicle's gone to like T10 minimum. T12, is quite common as well. Strength 8, yeah. Strength 8. Makes no sense, but unfortunately, that is the game currently that we are in. And people wonder why they say melee is dead. um, GSC. GSC. Honestly, I think if you come across a peak player playing GSC, I don't think you win. In the nicest way possible. Unless they make a huge blunder, I just don't. I don't see it. When GSC rules came out and they saw the infinite respawning thing, my head was, okay, so it's going to be an army of infinite shit. So it's going to be chaff, crap, but it's respawning constantly. So it's going to death by 1,000 cuts. Then they actually give them stuff like demo charges, seismic cannons, and the ability to buff them all through the roof. So they actually hit like trucks. So we have an infinite army of respawning, hit like trucks. Now, the problem you have a unit that's a glass cannon, the weakness is being a glass cannon. That's not a weakness if you can goddamn respawn. Well done. Like, I'm very frustrated with 10th at the moment. It's not a Death Guard thing. Like, people always say, like, you're just upset because Death Guard's not very good. It's like, no, it's just none of it makes sense. Like, you make an army of glass cannon units and then give them the ability to infinitely respawn. Like, what were you thinking? Like that's not the point of a glass cannon unit. The glass cannon unit's supposed to be fragile, and if it dies, it's gone. So the whole point is to use speed and maneuverability and stuff like that, and to get the jump, make better trades, etc. But now you can just trade like an idiot. You can pop up with seismic cannons, trade like a moron into anything, and then die, then make your roll, and just back again. It's just like, oh, all right. I've just spent all my resources to kill a unit that's just automatically back next turn because they can put the blip back in their own corner, respawn, and then go into the shadows with it, so then it can come in again anywhere next turn. Silly. But again, we have balance update coming in September, so let's not remain too bitter, because hopefully they have been targeted by stuff, and hopefully we'll sort of get a better understanding of that game. What I will say is, Plague Burst crawls onto the bikes if you've got bikes, because they can't loan up the bikes, remember that people, infantry only. So the mortars into the bikes is very good. Pick them up. There is a thing you can do at the moment where it's actually beneficial to not wipe units in GSC. If you can drop a bike to a one-man unit, don't finish it off because you risk it respawning with all the blips. Just leave it on one wound, on the one guy. Just leave him. Yeah, he's going to score secondaries and stuff, which is annoying, but you can then, if you're not getting tabled, you can score back. And then also, if you do draw a turn where you get something like no prisoners, you can always just fire a mortar and pick it up for an easy point, like later turns. But I know Don's been playing the same way against GSA with this method of sort of dropping units low. They do regenerate some of them. There's only so much you can do, annoyingly, that they can bring back seismic cannons and one-shot weapons and some places letting them reuse those weapons, but you're making the most out of a bad situation, and that can sometimes be better than wiping a unit and just having the entire thing come back next turn, and having to deal with it all over again. Sometimes it's better to just leave it as a single bike, a single aberrant, stuff like that. So yeah. Also, Typhus is really good for picking up these little characters with his little snipey. So yeah, remember that. They've got something like a Reductor Saboteur, sat there, bring him in, 18 inches, mortal wound it, good chance that you'll snipe it off, pick up a free assassination. Very nice. I'm waiting for the Necrons. Genius to Occult, Genius to Occult, Genius to Occult, Custodes. Man, there we go, Necrons. So, I don't know which one to use to play it against Necrons, but all I'm going to say is this here is annoying. These here, where are they? Are bullshit. So these things, for 4 up, feel no pain. They go inside this unit of Lich Guard and they get -1 to wound. They go with another character that gives them -1 to be hit, and they go with another character that gives them a 5 up invulnerable. So, they also resurrect 2d3 after you've swung and at the start of your command phase and the start of their command phase. So these crypto thralls will keep resurrecting constantly. Do not try and kill this unit. Just like this, unfortunately, this Lich Guard unit is nope, not happening. And these guys fought 2 of them. The problem is with this, and this is such a big pain in the ass of an opponent to face, even if you reach melee, which I did, I paid the CP to get precision in combat, the heroic challenge, because I wanted to kill a Technomancer to stop the feel no pains, to help them, help kill Lich Guard much more efficiently with Death Shroud. The problem is they have a 1 command point strat to just basically resurrect a guy. So, now, there is something you can do here. You have to, yeah, worst player experience definitely goes to Cryptophrals. Hit them with the mortar. Make them fail a battle shock test. This is honestly why I'm considering the Bellboy even more, because Bellboy into Custodes and this matchup, -2 to leadership. Now, bear in mind, I'm pretty sure, I will double check it, but you can't use the Insane Bravery stratagem in anything that isn't the command phase battle shock test. Check. So, you make them fail a single battle shock, which you have 3 attempts. All you have to do is hit with the PBC, and they have to test. The second they fail a test and you can make a charge, you then go in, you pop a heroic challenge, and you snipe, but your hardest you can. You have to try and snipe that damn Technomancer. Once the Technomancer's gone, the unit loses its 5 up feel no pain. Now the Crypto Thralls are going to keep theirs, which is annoying, but at the same time, once they're gone, the Lich Guard then, basically for every 4 up they die, they're going to just go down. I don't know how you're doing that, Zito. I cannot kill a Lich Guard Blob for the life of me. The guy was making 4 up feel no pains like a god, don't get me wrong. 3 Death Shrouds killed 1 Crypto Thrall. Maybe I'm just like jaded from such a horrible experience. But I think if you do get a chance to basically turn off character resurrection and get a guy in there to do a heroic challenge, again, the Crypto Thralls do give the Cryptic a 4 up feel no pain, which is a pain in the ass. But I've managed to get Typhus in there with his flat 3 damage weapon, give him the extra AP, slam into it if he's got no invuln, and just try and dump as many wounds on that Technomancer he can. If he dies and can't resurrect, you set yourself up for the next attacks coming from the rest of the Death Shroud to be a lot nastier. Because again, he can't get that model back. The Crypto Thralls he can get back, so unfortunately you just got to deal with that the old-fashioned way. Obviously, if they have a Reanimator, I don't know if this guy has. Yep, Captain Reanimator. If there is nothing that's massively going to threaten you, so now these are issues, because these are quite scary. Your mortars have to you have to decide, the deployment depends a lot. If these guys can get an angle within 2 turns, and they get first, on your back line, the mortars have to go into these first. And they're actually pretty good at killing them, because they're only 4 wounds each. So the mortars can actually pick up these guys quite nicely. Kill them dead fully, so they can't come back. Okay? If they're not going to get angles, take out the Reanimator. Again, it's got 4 up feel no pain, which makes it Really, really frustrating if he makes those 4-up Feel No Pains, but there is a good chance you do manage to take it out, and that will make all the resurrecting later on much easier to deal with. But don't let these guys get angles. Like, you, two of those hits go through, you lost a Plague Burst Crawler, so you definitely don't want that. This thing is absolutely bullshit. Transcendent Catan with a half damage and a 4-up Feel No Pain. Um, that's basically got to be dealt with by Mortarion, annoyingly, because he can obviously turn off the half damage. 4-up Feel No Pain is still a pain in the ass, but he doesn't particularly have an easy time killing Mortarion either. The annoying thing about it is it can teleport every turn, so there's not much you can do about it in regards to that. I wouldn't make it your priority. If it comes close and you get a chance with Mortarion to go and give it a smack, try and take your odds, but it's not an easy model to kill. Scarab Swarms obviously detonate for mortal wounds. These are actually quite nice to leave alive for a bit, because then when you get a turn for like no prisoners or something like that, they're actually very easy to just pick up with the mortars for like free secondary points. But it is a nasty list. Like they like now we've covered sort of like all the big boy armies. That's, as we can see, that's basically all we've seen. Um, it's it's a hard life to be a Death Guard player at the moment. I won't lie. Does the UKTC rule that a leader doesn't rejoin if they use a strat to bring it back? I don't actually know. That's a good question, actually, isn't it? I mean, if that's the case, then it's not such a big issue if they resurrect if they don't resurrect attached. The way I've played it so far is that they do resurrect as part of the squad, but I'll be very interested to see if that's not the case. Because you are right, that technically wouldn't be the case if he's added back to the board, he's set up as an own unit. That would be interesting to see. I'll have to look into those rulings. But yeah, it's it's tough at the moment. So are we thinking of making any changes to the list so far? Like I said, we could potentially drop the Rhino and the Plague Marines for a Predator and a Bloat Drone to help deal with Custodes. Flat 3 damage AP2 autocannon is very nice to have. Am I going to do it? We've got to see tomorrow's Meta Monday results and kind of see what the ratios are looking like of players. If we see the UK seeing a lot more Custodes, that's definitely something we're going to consider. If it's not and it's kind of staying the same, I don't see too much changing, but we'll go into this event with an idea of getting 2 wins again. I'll reiterate that. 2 wins is currently my goal. We get 2 wins, I'll be happy. 3 wins, I'll be really happy. 4 wins, I'll be over the moon. 5 wins, it ain't happening. But we'll see. You never know. Maybe I'll get paired into like the easiest matchups ever, maybe like Sisters of Battle 5 times. Just checked and they don't. So they don't rejoin the squad. Oh. Now that is interesting. Okay. That actually makes the heroic challenge a lot more interesting than in UKTC, because it means they would die, not rejoin the squad, which means the buff doesn't go back onto them. Very interesting. So it means the battle shock test isn't as important for them to fail. Okay. Okay. That's cool. That's good to know. Thank you, Zito. I didn't know that. See, we're all learning something today. Does the biologist use the grenades on the unit and then on himself? They're treated as one unit. So if you use the stratagem on him, it's on the unit anyway. So I don't believe you can double grenade strat. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, this problem is at the moment there's so much that's like the answer is I don't know because the game's so poorly written at the moment. In a lot of instances. Let's have a look. Where's Bio Pooch Fire? Since mode grenade stratagem. If you already target a different unit, so no, so you can't you won't be able to do that. No, unfortunately not. You won't be able to target. You won't be able to use the stratagem normally and then target him because he is part of the unit. So unfortunately, no double grenade strat because that would have been very nice. That would have been quite cool actually. Double grenade strat something. This is because after leader has been removed, it is no longer considered part of the unit. Very cool. I wish it was that way for Crypto Frowls. Unfortunately, it's not. Damn Crypto Frowls. Yeah. So I mean, I got 2 weeks to prepare. I have one more practice game tomorrow. Don't know what I'm going against. I'm going random. So we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. I'll try and let you know if you're on the Discord. for Death Guard, which is Nurgle's Mansion. I'll give you a quick shout out. It's one of the best Discords I think there is for any faction. Um, we don't tend to bring a negative attitude towards the game. Obviously, we do talk about issues with the game, and there is, we do ALR, we do ARR, displeasure sometimes, but we do always try to focus on trying to find a way to make the bad work whilst also acknowledging the bad rather than just screaming into a void and being negative. So if you're actually interested in trying to get better at the game, check it out. It's a good Discord. Some really nice people in there. There's also Pasito, but no, we love you, Pasito. Hello, Go For It Pain. How are you doing tonight? So yeah, I mean, I'm setting my goals sort of realistically. Got a few bad apples. Yeah. And like it's weird. It is weird to be going to an event and knowing it's a rabble, knowing like your goals aren't as high as you maybe want them to be. I'm very excited to see what changes we do get in September because, like I said, London GT is that end of September. Hopefully, it makes the cut-off date. I really hope so. 'Cause that'd be really nice. Um, I really hope we do get some buffs rather than just points. If it's just points, I will be a little upset. I'll be a little bit like, is that it? Obviously, it still helps. More units is better. But I would love to see some sort of like rule changes to sort of help us out, akin to Necron treatment in like ninth. That kind of like level of rules changes. Um, but are we the worst army in the game? No, I don't think so. That instead belongs to these buggers, sadly. Oh, poor little dwarfs. You want an army that feels atrocious? Play them. That ain't it, Chief. I'll take thingy for this. I'll take Death Guard over that any day. Did you do a potential list for Leeds? Yeah, so basically, I'm still taking the same list. The same list that's been doing well. Other people have been taking it to RTTs and doing quite well with it, which is quite nice. It's quite cool to see, actually. I saw a guy go 3-0 with the list. Obviously, made some slight changes to it with his entropy cannons. But the core concept of it is I'm going to wait for tomorrow, see Meta Monday results, see what the meta's looking like, potentially swap out the Plague Marines and the Rhino for a Predator Destructor to have some more damage free and a Bloat Drones to sort of try and keep something fast to do the same sort of job that the Plague Marines did. If I could, I'd honestly just take 2 Rhinos, but empty Rhinos. But unfortunately, you're not allowed because they explode for some reason. I would love 2 empty Rhinos. That would be great. Like 160 points for just some generically tough little action scoring unit. Yeah, I'll take that. But unfortunately not. Are the credits going to be released around the same time as the update? I know as much as you do, mate, unfortunately. I think the roadmap was to have the Chaos Space Marines and Tyranids in September. 10th Codex roadmap. Not roadmap. Oh, it was there. Bollocks. There we go. So, autumn. So, yes. Yeah. No. I don't know. Yeah, it must be, yeah. Where they come around the same time. So what I'd say is I wouldn't expect to see any changes for these 2 armies in here. Obviously with them getting fresh codexes, I'll be very excited to see what the layout of a codex is and what a codex entails. But it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, they should sort of roughly come around the same time, maybe the following month. It really depends. I don't know the inner workings of GW, but we'll see. It's not that clear. Fall. That's about it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Necrons and Admech then. This is make or break for Admech. This is gonna be either real good or real bad. That's either gonna save them or lock them into the horror show they're in. This is terrifying. All these are just We've got a long road ahead of us, but we'll get there. We'll get there. I'm sure. New detachments and whatnot. Nids first, do you reckon? It could be. Yeah, it could be. I don't know if they're going to release them next to each other or if they're just going to be like, we'll do Nids one month, Marines the next. Be interesting to see Nids come first over Marines. Obviously, Marines being such a bigger part of the player base in the game. But either way, it'll be cool. Lots of new units that we saw. They're all really awesome looking. Really want to get some. Trying my best not to. Got to finish my Votan. Turns out it's very hard to finish a project when the army is literally feeling terrible to play. But you know, I'll finish them. Plus, painting orange is not the greatest feeling in the world. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Any other questions in the chat? I'm probably gonna wrap this up sort of soon. Like I said, it only wanted to be like an hour long, just to have a quick chat, quick catch up. Me and Will are recording the next episode in the coming week. He does apologise for not getting the last live stream uploaded as a podcast. He's been a bit, he's been a bit preoccupied with girls. He's on dates, and I'm not gonna force him back to work when he's on dates. Sorry, Will. So yeah, we will obviously talk about our experiences. We're going to talk about sort of coming up to Leeds. Will's going as well. We'll be talking about what he's taking. He might be absolutely betraying us for Chaos Knights. So if you're in the chat, give us a boo, Will, because boo Will betraying us. But we'll basically be talking sort of like generically about how Death Guard is feeling. Obviously the actual win rate, which we know of everyone right now, is not the greatest. I'd always say don't get too caught up on win rates. But obviously they do have some weight to them, as does any stat. They have both weight and also not weight. Don't put all your eggs on the stat numbers, but at the same time they do show an issue with the army, of which I do believe there is an issue. But again, we'll be talking about that kind of stuff, and we'll sort of, we'll cover that as and when we record the episode. But if there's any topics you guys want us to cover, we can do that. We can even speculate if you want about sort of changes we would like to see to the army. So if you want any opinions from us on that one, feel free. Just let us know. Again, when it comes to the content, we're always just want to, Will is Pasito. Yeah, Chaos Knights. Will is confirmed. It's confirmed. Don. It's Will with a mask on the entire time. But yeah, just sort of let us know anything you want us to cover, any questions. If anyone's got any other questions sort of before I wrap this up and head off, feel free to drop them in the chat. Like I said, it's going to be interesting. We're in for a wild ride. This is going to be probably the worst event I'm going to go to. It might not. I'm hoping to do more than 2 wins, but that's the goal. But again, I'm just going to try and it's one thing it is good for is sort of like learning myself as a person to just chill out a bit more and not get like so wound up sometimes. Because I'm human. I can be sometimes. So it's nice to go to an event and not have any expectations. Because people, I didn't really have many expectations last time, but that event was smaller, more local, so you're not got all the sharks there. Whereas this time, being a super major, I'm expecting more people to show up with sort of like the nasty lists, and we'll just see how it goes. And I'll give you an honest opinion, and I'll probably come back and drop a giant, like one A4 page rant on the Discord page, but none of you will see that. Well, some of you will, but give me 24 hours and I'll chill out. A unit tier list, since nothing is changing for months. People are 50-50 on if they want to see tier lists or not. It's something I can't do. It is fun content at the end of the day. I wouldn't take it mega serious if I did do a tier list. Because the problem is different units, different metas. But I'm happy to make one. If people want to do a live stream and make a tier list and we can talk about it in the chat and just have a discussion about the units, I'm happy to do that if that's something that interests you. I'm sort of happy to just do anything really and just talk about 40k and Death Guard. Lose your first game, you'll have a much more fun event after that. Yeah, but what if my first game's to someone like, I don't know, what if it's something like Sisters or something that I can really just absolutely batter and 100 point them and then go into something like GSC and then make myself depressed for the rest of the event. Knowing my luck, it'd be Knights. For the past every event I've been to, my round 1 has been Knights every time without fail. I just seem to attract Knight players, which I hate because I hate playing against Knights. It's miserable. It's like it's next to Custodes and I don't want to fight this level. But so yeah, if I get Knights again, I'll be drinking a full 6-pack of Cherryade before that. Yeah. So yeah, anything else, any guys? If not, I'm probably gonna wrap up and head off for the night. Like I said, just a small one. This one. So it's remaining content. We know we haven't uploaded in a little while. Like I said, real life's been a bit busy. But after that, we'll be back sort of on a more schedule. It's a bit hard to talk about Death Guard as well because it's with us not being in the greatest place, it's hard to sort of talk about stuff. We can talk about generic meta and whatnot, but we want Death Guard to be in a place where there's lots of stuff to experiment with and lots of stuff to try, and hopefully those rules changes in September. Is that a piece of hair? What is this? What is this? It's too amazing. There's hair. It's not like hopefully those changes will help us sort of identify. That's gonna really annoy. I can just see it. I'm gonna space this way. Will help us enjoy our army a little bit more than it currently is. I'm trying to determine what to paint and what can wait. I think I'm just gonna paint your list. Hey man, just the way I did it. Just paint whatever you're feeling at the moment. No, she's not painting squigs. No, they're not. My girlfriend says paint squigs. There you go. There you go. Born not to run. There's your new army. Go and buy some squigs. Okay. My girlfriend very much likes painting. So you got a squig? Check as a squig. This is your work in progress squig. Let's put light on. I don't know. It's a little bit. So that's my camera's crap, but that's her squig. She likes squigs very much. Squigs, goblins, and orcs. It's her favourites. And trolls. And vampires. She plays AOS, not 40k. Sorry, boys. AOS is not better. Vampire. Yeah. Lol orcs. There you go. That's what we're at. This is actually a clinic to decide which army you should all buy next. That's what it's become. So the next person who asks Dark Eldar apparently, without even no context, just Dark Eldar. So Born Not to Run, Orcs. Next person to say anything, Dark Eldar. Locked in. Go do it. I want photo updates every week of your new project. On that note then, fellas, I'm going to head off. So thank you very much for joining. I know it was only a little one. Like I said, it was just to sort of stay in touch, sort of give a bit quick chat, see how everyone's doing, hanging out. Hope you enjoyed it. I know it was short and sweet, but we'll have a next episode up next week, hopefully, as well as the previous episode. Yeah. Thank you very much for tuning in. It's really cool to see people sort of like interact in the chat. It's very fun. It's very cool. And pray for me in 2 weeks, 2 weekends when we go to Leeds, and hopefully we'll get some decent games in, and we'll have a lot of tough stuff to talk about when we come back from it. So until then, I'm gonna love yous and leave yous, and I will catch you on the next episode of the Discuss News. I have Will normally to do my outros. This feels very strange. He's normally like, "Well, join us next time on the Discuss News when Aiden, I don't know, paints an Eldar model." It's not happening. Yeah, I ain't painting Eldar. No chance. Lord of Change, okay, I'll paint a Lord of Change live. Pray and vomit, yep, that's what we do. We pray and we vomit. So yeah, anyway, have a good night everyone. I will speak to you all very soon. Take care. Noodles blessings. Bye.